Shalom, all praises to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, and double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, Bashem Rakak Wadash. My name is Yakaba from Plain Tables Camp at Philly. This proves that the bankers, Esau Edom, controls the world, and mainly controls it through its military and the Federal Reserve, and I believe it's the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, if that's correct. The Bank of Iraq has their government's money in the Federal Reserve system, and they're threatening that they'll lose that money if they kick the U.S. out of their country. So is Iraq an actual sovereign state, as the clip you're about to see? It's not. It's controlled. They're a vassal state controlled by the bankers. All right. Revelation 17:18. I'm going to bring this scripture out a lot. And the woman in which thou sawest is that great city, America, daughter of Babylon, which reigneth over the kings of the earth. Not just the European nations, over the African nations, South American nations, Middle Eastern nations. And this is like the microcosm. I mean, not that they're small, but they're one nation, given the example, to the larger control that the daughter of Babylon has over the whole world. So it's a microcosm, a community or place situation regarded as encapsulating in miniature the characteristic qualities or features of something much larger. All right, so this is a small example, but it speaks to a greater example. All right.
On Iraq, a country the petrodollar has done quite the number on. The Trump administration is warning now, threatening even, Iraq, if you kick out U.S. troops, we will cripple your economy. If it sounds like a threat, it's because it is. NRS special correspondent Michelle Greenstein joins us now with the very latest. Now, how is it that the United States says it's going to do this, cripple the economy?
Yeah, when you look at Revelation 18, it's not just talking about the 7 heads and 10 horns. All right, the different European nations. It's referring to all the nations that trade with America, that make money off of America, and that have benefited from American dominance or hegemony. All right.
What's it doing?
Well, according to Iraqi officials, the Trump administration warned the Iraqi government that it risks losing access to a very critical bank account if Baghdad does actually kick out those U.S. forces from its soil. This apparently was conveyed to the Iraqi prime minister in a call from the State Department on Wednesday. That's according to official in his office, and that's according to the Washington Post.
But to be clear, its own bank account.
That's right. Its bank account in the New York Federal Reserve Bank.
So it would be like me telling you, I'm going to go to your bank and tell them you can't have your money.
That's right. So it is Iraqi money. That's the Iraqi government's money. This is the central bank of Iraq.
And it proves that the Iraqis don't really have control. Because why would you have your money in an account wholly controlled by the Rothschilds, wholly controlled by the bankers that can tell you when you can take money out of it, where you can transfer it to? So the Iraqis are not in control. The bankers are in control. Prime example. This is a microcosm of how the U.S. has control over the nations of the earth through the banking system.
Right? This is the central bank that was established in 2004 after the 2003 invasion, right? So the Wall Street Journal says that a spokesman for the Iraqi prime minister didn't respond to a request for comment, neither did the Iraqi central bank itself, and neither did its embassy in Washington. They said the same thing for the U.S. State Department and the Federal Reserve Board. And now this is...
And they didn't respond because they're afraid, because the U.S. still has a lot of power.
All because, as we know, earlier in the month, the Iraqi parliament voted to kick out all of...
Yeah, whenever you start talking about money, you know, these nations, they start treading very carefully, you know, very carefully.
the U.S. troops from.
They get emotional about war, and they talk about the war and change the balance of power. When they talk about money, that's where the real power is. All right, they amend their speech.
Its soil after the assassination of General Soleimani. But here's what President Trump said on Fox just a couple days after that. He said that he would not expel the U.S. troops from Iraqi soil unless Iraq pays U.S. back for its investment, like the military bases and the embassies. He said, quote, "We have a lot of their money there right now, $35 billion of their money right now sitting in an account. And I think they'll agree to pay. They'll agree to pay. Otherwise, we'll stay there." So does sound like a threat.
Yeah, that's funny. First of all, you invade a country, you destabilize a country, and then you say you want that country who you destabilized to pay you for the damage that you did,
right,
as if it was some kind of gift. That's odd. But even odder is the fact that you're telling a sovereign country that they can't have access to their own money. Yet, this is not the first time the United States does this. It did it recently to Venezuela, as a matter of fact.
And this really begs the question, is it really a sovereign country? Is it really independent? And this has a lot to do with actually both segments that, preceded this one, because the New York Fed is where all that oil revenue from Iraq is kept, where all their international oil sales revenue is.
Right.
So the loss of the access to these kinds of accounts could really create a crunch in Iraq's economy and, like you said, really cripple its entire financial system. But it begs the question, is Iraq really sovereign? Because the Iraqi people want the U.S. out. Clearly, they just voted for that. We saw them, take down that embassy. They're not happy with the United States right now. But Trump and, the so-called hardliners that surround him in the Trump administration refuse to go. So what's going to happen? Is it what the Iraqi people want or what the Trump administration wants? And if it's what the Trump administration wants, is that a sovereign country?
Well, no, we were just talking a little while ago about that. If somebody tells you they don't want you there and you stay, now you're an occupier.
Right. And it's ironic, right? It's ironic also because this is Iraq, right? This is our ally now. This is a post-2003 Iraq. But even the prime minister of that post-2003 Iraq said that they want Pompeo to begin the process of withdrawing Pentagon forces from the country. In a statement, they said, you need to send delegates to Iraq to prepare a mechanism to carry out the resolution regarding the withdrawal of all foreign troops. But of course, then we had Pompeo on Friday rebuff that request and saying that, no, we can't do that. He said, our mission in Iraq is very clear. We're there to perform a training mission to help the Iraqi security forces be successful and continue the campaign against ISIS.
Here's the real dig here, right? Credibility across the world will be hurt for America if it continues to do this type of thing. Who will do business with somebody who says, if you put your money in our banks, we'll decide at some point we don't like you and we'll just keep it?
Right.
Who will do business in a world where a country does a treaty and then a president is elected, another one is removed, and he says, I'm not going to respect that treaty? This is starting to get real serious, not just in these individual cases, but from a whole global standpoint, right?
Right. And you know what else doesn't lend the United States credibility is, on one hand, you have Secretary Pompeo saying that we need to continue the mission of combating ISIS. But on the other hand, we have numerous examples of Washington actually supporting both the rise and the funding and the training of ISIS. We've reported on this on this show in the past before about the U.S. perhaps supplying weapons to ISIS. And we even know from its very inception that it was supported by the West from those 2012 Defense Intelligence Agency documents.
Yeah, because another name for ISIS is Israeli Secret Intelligence Service. So yeah, I would agree with that. And I'm hearing that they never attacked the state of Israel either. So that makes sense.
Documents that show that the main opposition to the Syrian government were these extremists that would go on to become ISIS, and that the West knowingly supported that opposition. Why? Because it furthered their goal of destabilizing the Assad government. So the fact that we're aligning ourselves with ISIS, but then using ISIS as the justification to keep troops in a country does not lend the United States credibility.
And these are the things that we as citizens of this country need to know about. And I'm so glad that we have these conversations and you're able to bring this to us, Michelle. Good
Thank you.
stuff.
And my point is made. They're threatening to steal their money because the Iraqis were never in charge in the first place. And these are going to be reasons of why Great Babylon, the mother of harlots, is going to be destroyed. All right. 18:7, prime example. How much she hath glorified herself and lived deliciously. All right, highly pleasant. They have control of all the money. so much torment and sorrow give her. These are her crimes. For she hath, for she saith in her heart, I sit a queen, and am no widow, and shall see no sorrow. This is why they pulling all this money from from the different European nations, or from China. They kind of get the better end of the deal. They want more. They want more money from these nations. They got an agreement, but the U.S., the daughter of Babylon, doesn't feel she's benefiting enough. All right, it's part of her living deliciously. Therefore, shall her plagues come in one day: death, mourning, famine, and she shall be utterly burnt with fire. For strong is the Lord Elohim who judgeth her. All right. And the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning. Because when Babylon's destroyed, even though they're going to be getting less of the monies, or the shorter end of the stick on the trade deals, if Trump has his way, Trump administration has his way, it's still better than making nothing. So that's why it says it in this part, the 10th part says, standing afar off, the fear of a torment, saying, alas, alas, the great city Babylon, the mighty city, for in 1 hour shall judgment come, and the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth their merchandise anymore. All right. So Yahweh Shai, the judgment is going to be heavy on Babylon, the daughter of Babylon. All right. And that was a prime example of why. And it's not the first time something like that has happened. Esau, Edom controls the money. Like the quote here, permit me to issue and control the money of a nation, Iraq, and I care not who makes its laws. That's why he's saying, well, we don't care if you kick us out. If you kick us out, we have control of all your money, or at least a great portion of it. The central bank of Iraq money is controlled by the Rothschild directly. All right. So, hope you edified. Until the next lesson, Shalom.